How we doing? This is a quick video about my electric guitars, starting from the very first one that I purchased. This is a Legend Stratocaster. It's quite cheap. It was bought when I was 13 years of age from a company that probably doesn't even exist anymore. I bought this one because I originally wanted to buy a Squier Strat, but this sounded better. It's heavier. The body is very dense wood. The neck is maple. The fretboard is rosewood. And it is a lovely guitar. The pickups aren't the best. They're these flat pole type things here. The electronics I had to do, it's the first time I ever did any modding on it. This is actually a Fender channel selector here. I still play it. It still has a lovely tone, and it is will never be sold. This is my first, and you have to be nice to the first, don't you? So there we go. That's number one. The next one is a beautiful Ibanez RG320. I got this one easily 10 years after the first one, I think it was. This was a purchase. It was second hand when I bought it, and it's still lovely. I had to do a little bit of work on this one over the years because of my horrible cat knocked one a bit over at the stage. But this has my first ever locking trem. This is the Ibanez Edge Tremolo. Which is lovely actually. I find these to be more accessible than the Floyd Rose, from the Allen nuts down to the micro tuners. And I've had this thing completely apart a couple of times to rebuild it. These are the stock Ibanez pickups, and they're loud but quite thin tone, so you have to do a bit of work with the pedals and distortions and stuff with it. 5-way selector, which is very nice. This neck is the problem. I'll just pause this for a second. This is a repair that I had to do on the neck when my cat knocked it over. It broke right across the headstock and across the nut itself. It took a couple of days to fix, and it's not the best aesthetically pleasing fix, but it is station. It works now. So there we go. It's stable. You have to excuse me, my voice is about to go. This is actually a very well designed body, this one. It's for full access to the higher fretboards, but it's actually a beautiful colour. The body itself is made of ash. This neck is maple, and the front is rosewood. So we go to the next one now. This guitar, this Telecaster, looks like a Squier vintage modded. However, the circuitry is from that, and all of the pots and the channel selector is from that, but the neck is from a different Squier, but the body is a Fender. It was a real Frankencaster piece of equipment I put together. Lovely circuitry. This is Duncan Design pickups. This is like an old telly one here. It's like a Strat single coil in the middle, and this lovely condensed humbucker at the bridge, at the neck, sorry, is absolutely beautiful. This is lovely, very Gary Moore type vibe to it. This was my pride and joy for a long, long time, and I've never, ever looked back from doing all the work and buying all the various bits and Frankensteining the whole thing together. It's beautiful, isn't it? And it's very cool. Next one. This next one is a Jackson King V. It's an older one. I'm not entirely sure of the date, but it's very thin. The neck's very thin, maple rosewood as usual. These pickups are the Jackson regular stock ones, but there's something about this one here which is a lot louder than this one. And I originally thought it was a problem with the circuitry. I thought it was a wiring problem in here somewhere. So I took it apart and I rewound it and I rewired it. I just discovered it's a different value. I think this was originally supposed to be here and someone switched them around for soloing. It's actually a beautiful guitar. I did all the Spirits of Malice stuff, the first, God, it must be 4 albums, all on this guitar, and it's beautiful. So it's there's the Jackson King V. Now this dusty relic here is a 7-string Washburn. It is a WG587V. I've never actually seen another one of these with a trem on it. I've seen a hardtail version of this before. And I bought this off a friend of mine their housemate was leaving the country. Sold it for very little, and it is mental, this guitar. It's absolutely loud. It's versatile in metal and not for anything else really. It's just the way it is. But it was the first guitar I ever bought with a coil tap And the way that this taps is quite interesting, because even when you put this, it's a 5-way selector, but when you put it in the middle position there, it's actually these 2 pickups when it's tapped, not this one. Which is quite interesting to me. This Floyd Rose is good. I had to rebuild it a couple of times because when you're doing, I did different tunings in this one for various different recordings, and just need a different saddle. So this saddles here aren't actually original to the bridge, but that's the 7-string. Here we have my favourite Stratocaster. It's a Mexican. It's about 15 years old. I bought it second hand, and it is beautiful, this one. For a Mexican, it's absolutely fantastic. This neck is special. It's a lovely one-piece maple neck. It's a 3-piece body, but these pickups are great. They're not my favourite Strat pickups. They're in another one, which I will show you later on. But they just have a nice extra little cut to them. Particularly this one here, the neck. Very, very nice. I've actually completely flattened this bridge down now, and mainly for tuning reasons. But it's very difficult to put this guitar down. And that's the Strat. I always wanted one. I know I'll get another one soon. Now, here we hit a strange one. This is a Jackson Performer PS37. Absolutely disgraceful the way that this was treated before I got hold of it, and I will admit the dust is proof that it's hard for me to play. You can notice there's cracks in it and stuff like that. This was actually found in a skip. If I show you the edge of this, you can see that the end of it's been broken and bodged back together. Some idiot cut the scratch plate to make it rounded like the RR models and engraved it, and Christ, I'd love to meet the guy that did it, because he's certainly not getting it back. I then dumped it in a skip. I had to do everything to get this guitar playing again. I had to put the fretboard back on, I had to put these last few frets back in. I had to completely rewire this. This is a different pickup to what was in it originally. This is from a Kelly, I think it was, I'm not too sure. Possibly wrong on that one. This is a new Floyd Rose that I put into. I put a lot of effort into this guitar, really, and it's a shame what happened to it. But yeah, I had to rebuild the nut. I had to rebuild the truss rod was actually making the fretboard pop off it. It was completely warped. There's a new truss rod in it. I still haven't got the right control knobs for it. I was originally going to butcher this guitar and use it for something else, but hey ho, it just exists on my wall at the moment. But that's the next Jackson. This is a beautiful guitar. It needs to be restrung, and I'll go into that in a minute. The reason why all these guitars are out is because I'm doing a restring and renovation on some of them as well. It's an LTD Viper 256. Cheaper than you think. Looking maybe 300 to 400 quid if you bought one really new anyway. Absolutely gorgeous mahogany body, set neck, 24 frets. That's a rosewood fretboard and it's lovely. Absolutely gorgeous. These pickups are brilliant. They're very, very loud singing ones. Coil tap if you want it as well. Simple 3-way selector, volume, tone, Tune-o-matic bridge. The problem is this guitar has been mocking me since the last gig that I played with it, when this string broke about 2 songs into our set, and actually didn't really come back after that. But I want to get this one going again because she's been very good to me live in particular. That's the LTD Viper 256. Now then, this is an interesting one, isn't it? This is a guitar I built myself from parts that was given to me by a friend of mine. This is called Baker's Bastard Caster. This is an SX head as far as I'm aware, and an Aria body. I could be wrong, the wrong way around. It's a long time since I've rebuilt this thing. This paint job goes the entire circumference of the guitar and up the neck. As you can see, it's well used now. I didn't expect to use this guitar as often as I did. And it's got a funny colour there, unfortunately. But these are all Fender parts. And it's the electronics is what I want to talk about, because earlier I talked about my Strat and said they're not my favourite Fender pickups. These ones are. These are the Fender Texas Special. They're the low output single coils, and they're absolutely gorgeous. And the way I have this working at the moment is these are vintage in their 78s pots, along with the 5-way selector as well. That's a vintage scratch plate too. And it actually really sings the guitar, particularly clean, very Gilmour-esque sound to it. And it is cool though, isn't it? Look at that. This is the Bastard Caster. I'm in the process of building another one of these. Also, it's the first time I ever went into vintage style machine heads. So there you go. And finally, for now, the Godin radiator. I did a long explanation video to this one and a review of it, which you'll find on my channel as well. This is a lovely guitar, which I've wanted for a long, long time. And I'm so glad I finally got one, because it is actually a shred machine. It's a strange guitar for what it is. 2 single coils, rather like a P90 here. It's completely hollow and chambered behind here, apart from here and at the bridge. Very interesting saddles here. This one needs to be restringed as well, because I played this one into oblivion there quite recently. No channel selectors. You do all your work by blending the volumes of the pickups, which is quite cool, and the tone nice and responsive. And this is the latest and the greatest, and I don't think it'll be the last one, but it is for now the coolest one I own. The Godin radiator even says cool sound. Quick explanatory note behind the amp. This is a lovely little Marshall cab I have behind here, and this is one of my live ones here. This is the MG 100 HC FX, a cheap solid state amp but very reliable live. Anyway, thanks for watching, and there'll be more videos soon.